Okay, folks, this one is crazy, but again, should not be surprising, and it's going to serve for us as some considerable data for what we know is actually coming. Now, a few days ago, some of you may or may not heard this, but Chinese state TV is displaying right now a pretty stone cold video of simulated full-scale attacks on Taiwan. This is pretty amazing because we know that Beijing has already started the rhetoric of them launching a full-scale attack on Taiwan, and now they are taking the next steps necessary in order to conduct a series of exercises that will undoubtedly prepare them for this type of military action. Now, this has a lot of very chilling ramifications on it and serves as a very significant problem for the rest of the world, because if Taiwan is attacked by China, first and foremost, there isn't going to be a lot of people that are going to do anything about it. Undoubtedly, the United States isn't going to do anything about it. The United States may be the most dramatically affected by it, but we're so busy trying to help Ukraine for a war that we're not going to win in the first place. Probably a whole lot worse than Vietnam. I'll just simply say that. But let's move on to something else. Understand that if Taiwan goes under attack, we have a bigger problem at hand. And that is, of course, a lot of the technology that the world has come to rely upon. Roughly 65% of the stuff that makes that technology is coming out of Taiwan. And when I say 65%, I am being very conservative. That number is very likely a lot higher than that, as much as 80%. And then to further complicate things, China's business overnight took a dump as a result of something that the Biden regime actually did several months ago, which tended to create a bigger problem. It actually tanked China's silicone industry. And when I talk about silicone, I'm talking about microchips here. And I also want you to understand that things are actually a lot worse than they might seem to be, because when this gets instituted, as I think it may very, very soon, the whole world is going to go into a panic, and when it does, it's going to create a backlash that nobody has really ever seen before, and nobody's really even prepared to deal with. Remember, the new cult of the left is Ukraine, and it is tanking all kinds of economies everywhere. Russia is undoubtedly winning that war. And again, I know people get mad at me when I say I'm not a Putin apologist, but I certainly am a contender for the scriptures, and the Bible doesn't lie when it talks about this stuff. Folks, we are looking at a global nightmare. But for us as Christians, that gives us hope, because we know these are all signs that Christ can come back at any moment. But I want to give you all a reminder. It does not absolve us of our responsibility to fight the good fight. It does not remove from us the requirement that God has placed upon us to stand up for righteousness and to kind of bring into fruition the things that God requires us to as we see the last day coming. I do want to simply also say this. These data points are significant because we know this is going to affect what we see in the Middle East. We know that this is going to affect a substantial amount of areas in the arena of what we understand to be Eastern and Western Europe. And I can tell you this right now, as everything begins to shape the way I think it will shape, we are going to begin to see what I believe the commencement of the world of the final Antichrist. It's happening. It's everywhere. We're seeing it. Let's not be blind to it, folks. It's happening around us. We need to be awake. We need to be watchmen and watchwomen. And we need to pay attention to what the scriptures are saying concerning these things and fall back on relying on God's insight so that we can have the type of understanding and encouragement we need in these last days. It's really important. Remember, the final court of arbitration, the area where we establish our moral authority, is not in immutable characteristics. It's in the Word of God. And the Word of God is where we literally need to be looking to in these last days. Very, very important. Do not miss out on this important data point. Take a look at what's going on, but more importantly, study the Word of God. Love you guys.